Hey there everybody, welcome to Abstruse Decapod's Tabletop RPG Debris, the retrospective that takes a look at obscure and homebrew role-playing games you either might have never heard of or which have simply been lost to time, sometimes with very good reason. I'm JP, your wonderful host. Opinions may vary on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how I'm perceived. Alright, well let me get this out of the way. I was never a fan of Bill and Ted or Wayne's World or any of that crap. In fact, I can't honestly say I've ever seen any of them all the way through with certainty. I just don't have any immediate plans to remedy that either. It's just their humor and those type of movies. They use comedy and stuff I just don't like. They rely on that stuff, and it's not my thing. Like Napoleon Dynamite, they got a number of quotable lines, and that's great. And I know many people of all ages that enjoy those movies, but not me. Maybe it's because I never knew anybody like any of the people in any of these movies, therefore can't identify with them, so whatever. So why am I looking at a handful of role-playing games that are based off of these movies? Well, I'd like to think I could put my version of the brain-numbing content of the flicks down to the dialogue delivery and obnoxious character portrayals, and be able to look past the games and their own merits. Teen. So, we have 3 games, and I'll just start with the first one, and go by historical appearance of this genre, if you want to call it that. Teen, the Bill and Ted role-playing game by Martin Gill. Now, this PDF of Teen is actually one I created myself from various versions of the game that Mr. Gill posted on the net over the years, from simple raw text on RPGNet to RTF files and other such things, about 2002, though he said he'd already been running it for around 10 years for his own group. 10 years by 2002. That means, like, the movie came out and he immediately started running a role-playing game of it. That's hardcore. At any rate, Teen was the first solid role-playing game adaptation of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, a movie starring the Wild Stallions. Keanu Reeves, known for The Matrix, and Alex Winter, known for being that other guy in this movie. Jane Wiedlin of the Go-Go's fame was in this, and amusingly, far down the cast list, so was an actor named Duncan MacLeod. I'm not even kidding. But the first important thing to address is the game faithful to its source. As I said, I didn't see the full movie, but over the years, I believe I've been exposed to enough of it in sound bites, quotes, and images that I could unequivocally say yes. And in fact, as is often the case with any products requiring brain power based on over-the-top franchises, I would strongly suggest this game is maybe a little too faithful to the movie. Let me demonstrate. Dude, welcome to the most bodacious of games you're likely to ever encounter, ever. Like, I know what you're thinking, like, role-playing. That's what that geeky dude in the Megadeth t-shirt does. You know, man, the one with the real bad acne and the greasy black hair. Role-playing is the coolest. I mean, like, in that example that I put on my, well, maybe not my best accent, but my best surfer dude speak, whatever, I don't know, it was the 80s and the 90s, and it all runs together for me. But anyway, was that making my point for me? About being a little too faithful? Yeah. I don't mind a conversational tone in a rule book, and in fact tend to do that myself, and it can even work if the use of English is a bit amateurish or flawed, as long as the author is trying, and is coming across clearly in the work. I can appreciate the effort both to impart the needed information and to try to emulate the tone and feel of the source material. Flavor text and deliberate bits of fluff set apart from the main text, written in the excellent vernacular of the movie, would have been maybe a slightly pedestrian avenue to have gone down, but it would have made this game so much more damn clear. I just can't justify the actual rules, even for a homebrew, labor-of-love indie game like this is, being formatted in such a thick, noisome barrage of dude speak. One thing I found quite funny was as soon as I saw the word mate, I realized this was a British author, which caused a train wreck in my head as I read the phrase. Throw out the dice, jack up the stereo, and break out all those old Iron Maiden tapes you never found the time to throw out. So what if the real people are out there at bars meeting girls? Just have a laugh. And once you find that this is actually a fun game, then maybe you can invite a non-role-playing mate to play. Okay, maybe it wasn't that bad, but, I mean, I was not having a very hard time reading the text up until the point that the dude speak shifted into some parallel bizarro world Twilight Zone, but when the word mate popped up, it caused a disconnect that totally took me out of the whole stream. How does one talk like Bill or Ted, but then also in the same language that you talk about bobbies and lorries and lieutenants? I think I took a D4 sand loss or something on that one. Those with sharper senses will recall my previous example mentioning throwing out the dice. That one stumped me at first. A game like this? Really skirting mainstream dice rolling? The format that debatably may help new gamers ease into playing? Turns out, yeah, just like it says on the tin, as the Brits say. If your rating is higher than someone else's, bodacious at shredding the guitar, for example, you just win. Well, I admire the author for taking a little-used diceless route. It feels flat here. I just don't see the point of removing a device for random, objective moderating of success, which no doubt has resulted in billions of wild outcomes over the years for various games, and replacing it with something as unremarkable as the diceless, if you have more you win mechanic. Just a head-scratcher. Distracting language use and the rules aside, the lingo use in the mechanics and tables is well done, and seems to capture the atmosphere of these types of adorable loser movies. It makes use of pretty much all the significant terms and concepts in the excellent verse, I don't know what else you'd call it, including no way, as if, hey dude, whoa, dweeb, bogus, bodacious chicks, and, all the rest. Teen also includes character types such as bums, rockers, surfies, goths, jocks, nerds, gangers, and valley girls. Rules for breaking the fourth wall, a la Ferris Bueller, also a movie I detest, but that's not important, and bribery. So I have to say this is a surprisingly full-featured game, for just a couple pages, and one which I'm sure very few people ever knew existed. Dude, Where's My Car? Believe it or not, I saw Ashton Kutcher and Sean William Scott's Dude, Where's My Car? And found it at least passably entertaining, and in fact saw it more than once, but not from any burning desire to do so. It just kind of happened to be on again when other people were watching it, and I was present. You know how it goes. And it was okay the second time. Dude, Where's My Car? A role-playing game, was written by Greg Pogorzelski. Also posted first on RPGNet's forums, noticing a trend here in 2002 or 3, depending. Although the link on their forums is now leads to what Google claims is an attack site with a red warning, using the Internet Archive, the Wayback Machine, I was able to retrieve the core rules and GM document, or 2 single-page PDFs. I'm of two minds about Rules Light and Beer and Pretzels games that are of the one-page variety. Some very few can do it well, but I just don't feel like any role-playing game of any significance, even Rules Light, can be properly and sufficiently recorded on one page. At least not without 1-point font, and I'm too old for that crap. I can barely read 16-point font. Much like Teen, Dude seems to very fully capture the essence of the movie, the PDF even being a very wild and chaotic jumble with the movie title fonts, really visually helping to connect the film's authenticity to the game. Again, like Teen, Dude relies heavily on quick references and keywords, strongly associated with its source material such as sweet, shibby, sucky, and even totally gay, a term I wouldn't try to include in a game in this day and age, for obvious reasons. The Dude Master PDF has an equally jumbled but very readable collection of GM guidelines for running the game and a Dude record sheet all on one page, and really it works, for the goofiness of the movie and concept of making a game from it, and yes, this one does use dice. It looks like the author got it right. You don't see that a lot, but it's nice when you do. The only real downside of the game, besides its severe brevity, though that no doubt prevented the same horrible dude speak that plagued Teen, is that it was not proofread well and has numerous spelling mistakes, which, in a game this short, seems pretty blatant and inexcusable. Most excellent adventure. Be excellent to each other, reads the very top line of the cover of this simple black and white PDF, called Most Excellent Adventure, a much more recent incarnation of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which I actually found on 1D4chan not an hour ago. A role-playing game of space, time, and air guitars, reads the tag at the very bottom of the cover. Okay, this game has a lot to live up to with the clean, simple, and evocative cover it has. The first page looks to be a character sheet, as it has a lot of blanks, a space for bummed-out dice, and sections of gnarly, excellent, and righteous, with a phone dialy pad thingy, and a section for buds. The intro tells us that Most Excellent Adventure is a pen and paper RPG where the players must fix possible alterations of their own timelines, which could affect the rest of humankind in the future, armed only with their wits, coolness, and a phone booth. Right away, I see the huge difference between this game and Teen. It actually makes use of the time-traveling phone booth. I didn't mention that in Teen because I honestly forgot about it, and in Teen apparently did too. Or I would have stumbled across it in the PDF. So I suppose that is a big void for Teen. A very surprising one given the faithfulness the rest of Teen manages to achieve otherwise. But back to this game. Most Excellent Adventure not only incorporates the time traveling, it apparently intended it to be the main plot or theme of the adventures. The characters muck about with the timelines. I have to admit, I'm impressed at this being the actual focus given the lower road that could have been taken. That Teen did by just making it a game where you just goof off. Characters have righteous, excellent, gnarly, and a user-created dice pool that serve as their stats. The dice mechanics are clever, but will likely not be for everyone as they involve a somewhat confusing ability to rearrange rolls and dice pools in various sequences, and it's called dialing. When you choose a sequence such as Bill rolls 1, 1, 6, 8, 5, and 2. He can dial this as 1, 1, 2, 5, 8, 6, a 6-string number. Evil Robot Bill, I guess that's their opponent in this example, rolls 3, 9, 3, 9, 1, 1. His longest string is 2 numbers, either 9, 9, 3, 3, or 1, 1. Good regular Bill wins. And I have an example here, just the 2 and the 3 are circled, and the 4 and the 8, I don't get it. It's what? Now it just occurs to me that this dialing sequence may have something to do with the way the numbers are arranged in this box shape of the phone dialing pad. And I think I remember something about that in the rules, something having to do with the 5 being in the middle, and so you can choose the numbers around it. But I mean, and that makes sense because of the time-traveling phone booth. Yet the problem is there are only 9 numbers, 10 with a 0, on the phone pad, and the 5's in the middle, and so it touches all of them. And worse, the example they give in the instructions, the numbers aren't the same in the example scenario they give. Those numbers aren't the ones that are highlighted, so it doesn't help any. I still don't know how this works. But if you can figure that out, you can also play against Death himself. You remember him, kind of a blue complexion guy. If you're ever killed in the game, and if you beat him at chess or Connect 4 or whatever other game, you're apparently brought back to life, just like in the movie. Although there aren't any rules for how to do this. I guess maybe you play against the GM in chess or Connect 4. I don't know. They don't say anything. I don't see anything in the dude manual about how to do that. It just says that's what you do. You just play against him and you come back to life. I don't know. There's a radical pool mentioned on the last page, but I don't see it on the dude sheet. There's no radical pool, nor is it mentioned anywhere else. Only with this, on the last bit on the dude sheet, where you meet yourself whenever you go back in time. For some reason, your clone, your other self, has a radical pool. My guess is this was renamed to Righteous, and that's what's on the sheet is the Righteous pool. But there's no evidence either way showing that this still needed editing. But otherwise, it does appear to be a pretty solid offering, especially for free, and a new one. Something to really go back with the retro theme and have a new game made for it now that we've got better desktop publishing and free office things like OpenOffice and things like that. My closing thoughts, as much as I'm not a fan of the movies, which would also leave me out for playing these games, the authors seem to have admirably ported the endearing qualities of the movies to RPG format, each with their own flaws and strengths and novelties. So, I will repeat the top of the cover of this and say that these are all okay, and will bid you a farewell for now and remind you to be excellent to each other.